Yes, I'm live. Grateful day. Welcome to the 37th episode of the Faith Forward Fearlessly podcast with your host, Jenée Hudson, the Uplifter. I empower former and transitioning professionals plus entrepreneurs navigating the complex balances of life, commitments, and growth, guiding them to conquer overwhelm with unwavering integrity, authenticity, and perseverance, all anchored in faith. Time to show the shirt. Today, as you can see, I don't have to stand today. It just simply says faith. All right? Faith. For me, this shirt reminds me just of myself and how I always keep the faith. All right? It's also a statement that makes me remember, and it's titled, or it says, "This too shall pass." All right? So meaning I've gotten through so very many unknown challenges and tribulations, unfortunately alone, most of them. Therefore, if I can get through those type of things, I can certainly continue to get through whatever comes at me. That's what this shirt means to me and my faith. All right. A few of these things I'm going to share. They're very personal, but it's time because I know there's other people out here who need to hear this podcast today, which is what it's very sentimental to me, you guys. And I can tell you if you're with any youngsters or kids and things like that, some even teenagers, they might not be ready to hear this podcast, but hey, this is life, and unfortunately some of them might even be going through it. So I'm going to be sharing a few things with you today that are unknown to most. But again, hopefully that'll help some of you. All right. And I hope that you share this podcast as well as I go along. All right. So today's episode, today's episode is called Silent Struggles, Overcoming Hidden Battles with Faith. Already, that should say a lot to you, right? So we will be diving deep into a topic that many of us face but rarely talk about during life and during our entrepreneurial journeys, all right? Through your 9-to-5s, all of the above. I'm sure you've experienced some of the things maybe I'm going to mention, and if not, blessings to you, let me tell you. So, and just as to these silent struggles that we carry inside, this is what we're going to be discussing today, all right? So let's get started. When I say struggles and things like that, I'm talking about the ones that nobody sees, right? If you can relate, put it in the chat. If you've been through things and you're like, man, nobody sees these struggles that I'm going through, put in the chat if you can relate. Just put the word relate. The kind that wakes you up in the middle of the night or fills you with doubt along your entrepreneurial journey, right? As you go through your day, and in life. It's those internal wars hidden behind our smiles, behind our achievements, and behind words like, I'm fine, when someone asks you how you're doing, right? We don't tell the truth all the time. So those are struggles that we're battling with together. And, I say no more, which is why I wanted to put this podcast out today. So today, we're shedding light on those actual struggles because we cannot overcome what we refuse to acknowledge. That's the most important thing today. All right. So here are 5 main gifts for today's episode that I'll be talking about. Gift number 1. Let me tell you, prepare yourself. So, acknowledging silent struggles. We all know what it's like to just carry burdens, in silence, right? So maybe it's something from your past, or maybe it's a present day challenge that you're going through that no one else understands. Well, you feel like no one else understands, right? So for me, those silent struggles began in high school. Yes, in high school. And when I was battling more than just grades, you guys, as I was trying to survive the trauma happening in my home, I kept that pain locked up inside. I didn't think I was going to do this, you guys. Okay. Pretending everything was normal. Let me get it together. For years, I carried the weight of being in a learning disability class, math class, believing I was lacking because of the words a teacher spoke over me. And in that same time, I carried an even darker secret of being drugged and sexually molested. You guys. By someone I should have been able to trust. But instead, that wasn't the case for me. So, both silent battles took a toll on my self-worth. I felt like I had to show the world everything was fine, while inside I was screaming for help. Just so you know, sorry but not sorry for the tears of emotion. Didn't know this was going to take place. But anyways, I was screaming for help, but I didn't speak up as I was protecting other loved ones that, involved in things like that. So instead, what did I do? I stayed strong and I kept hold of my faith. And man, instead I sacrificed my personal space to continue not to be perceived as weak or broken. All right. So I pushed through the pain, all while relying on my faith. Another reason why I have this shirt on, to keep me strong and just with ongoing courage, to eventually, by the way, that was high school. I waited till my 30s to finally even mention these things that were going on by choice. All right. So you see, silence can be a heavy burden, but even in the darkest moments, you are never alone. Never. Because, God sees the battles we keep hidden. And even when we can't find the strength to speak up, He gives us the strength to keep going and to help others who aren't as strong as us. Another reason why I've decided to put this podcast out here today. Here I am, an entrepreneur, and I'm still going. I'm still here. All right. And you too, you can do the same. So keep pressing forward. All right. Gift number 2. I'm giving y'all gifts with tears. Faith as a lifeline. How I held on to hope when it seemed so far out of reach. Just couldn't even see it, you guys. Here's the first one. One of the hardest parts of my journey, just coming up and now along my entrepreneurial journey as an entrepreneur today with 3 businesses was believing that there was light at the end of the tunnel. You could not have told me that I would have ever gotten through those things that I was going through, right? Well, there are moments when I doubted if I'd ever get through it. I just didn't think it was possible, or if I'd ever just feel truly free, or even if I was worthy of more. I would literally be like, Jenée, maybe you're not worthy of more. Maybe this is why you're going through the things you're going through. All these things were taking place, right? But for me, what kept me going was keeping the faith the whole time. Remember, it's as small as a mustard seed, you guys. That ain't even much. So you too can keep the faith. I'm telling you, if I've gotten through half these things, and so much more that you don't even know. And I know a lot of you are surprised even now hearing some of these things. But man, then you too can get through things, right? This too shall pass, like I said in the beginning of this podcast. But I kept the faith, and not the kind of faith that was easy or perfect, because nothing's perfect, right? But the kind that was raw and honest to myself and for myself to even get through half of those things, all right? So there were nights when I would cry out to God to see me through just the most crucial times of things going on. During those times of being drugged and molested, I had nightmares, you guys. Nightmares that went on for a very long time that I had to endure all on my own until I got to my 30s. This was like probably around 14 and about 10 to 14. So I held on to that till my 30s. So I would cry out to God, like, just help me get me through this. Help get through all of this pain and things that I was going through, right? And mind you, I had and still have a wonderful mother who was working 3 jobs, so she didn't know and things going on, right? But God seen me through all of these things, you guys, just through all these unfortunate times. So at the time, I didn't have all the answers, but I knew deep down that if I held onto my faith and if I just took it one day at a time, God would see me through. And he has, and he still does today. So please keep the faith as an entrepreneur, on your 9-to-5 jobs, all of that. You too can get through these things. This too shall pass. Keep that with you. So just let me say this though. God didn't promise that the road would be easy, right? That's understandable. But he did promise to walk with me through the fire. And let me tell you, he continues to do so today, you guys, through the tears that I'm even having now, which didn't think that I was going to have them. But he will continue to be with you if you just keep the faith. That's all you got to do is keep the faith, right? So, with me keeping the faith, I got through high school with my faith and everything that I was going through. That teacher telling me I'll never learn math. I had a fear of math for the longest. And then what happened? I got to college, you guys, and had the highest A+ in my finance class. Who knew? Who knew? I wanted to go back so bad, but this was overseas in England, to tell that teacher, like, You had me all scared. I was taking a learning disability class, feeling like I was just less than. Literally, I was the cheerleader. I was the varsity cheerleader. I was the varsity track team captain. And they had me feeling like I was nothing. All right. Here I am, though, persevering as I do. So keep the faith. All right. I sought out a tutor during that time for that math class and those struggles. And I slowly brought my grades, and I pretty much helped them improve by even getting a tutor, and to help myself through this math class, through this learning disability class. All right. I eventually detached myself from that toxic environment at home that I told you about. But it was my faith that helped me to just break the chains altogether. My faith that got me through these things. So faith isn't always about having a perfect plan, though. I want to share that with you. It just really isn't. Sometimes it's about trusting God or whatever your higher power is for you. All right. For me, it's God. But even when we don't understand, it helps, It's about taking one small step forward, even when the path is unclear or whatever you're going through along your entrepreneurial journeys, in your 9-to-5 jobs, as a mother, as a father, as a sister, as a brother, as just someone who is alone. You might be the only child even. It helps you when you're unclear. All right. So know that God got you. God's got you. I know he's always had me all this time, and I've gotten through so very much. And for those of you who have missed it, go back and watch it. But yes, he has helped me, and he still does, right? So even when it feels like no one else does and no one else knows what you're going through, God does. I'm telling you, you guys. I still have times right now, so he knows. So with that, how do I know these things? Well, as you can see, I'm pouring my heart out here. I'm being totally raw and honest about some of the things I've been through. These are just some of the things, you guys. I know half of you guys are like, oh my God, that happened to her. It happened to me, I sometimes feel like it's because God knows we're all God's children, right? So he's like, you know what? She's going to go through things. Not that he let it happen, by no means. I know God did not allow this. But it's just that I went through things so that I could help many others to endure, these tough challenges as an entrepreneur and just ongoing, right? So I know that with my faith and to get through half the things that I've gotten through and the struggles and the battles, that you too can certainly do the same. As well as I also endured a very toxic environment, you guys, in the corporate world at what I called the good old boys club. I was a minority. I was the only African American. I was the only female on the executive staff level, just pretty much helping to run and maintain the company. And, my faith got me through that as well. Let me tell you. So that, going through those things to make me stronger and to help others is why I know that I'm still able to persevere and to get through things. This is why now that I'm even talking about half of these things, more of my personal, because I want to be able to help even one person and not be selfish, So that's why I'm even doing this podcast today about such struggles, because it's hard out here. as an entrepreneur, as just a person, to see three things through. And then I think to myself, Jenée, you've gotten through so much, you'll get through this too. And it helps. So maybe tell yourself that. It does help, because then you do have to unfortunately think about those tough times, but then you think, man, I've gotten through that, which was so much worse than what I'm going through right now. So this too shall pass, and I can get through this as well. So when you're in the middle of your own silent struggles, give yourself permission to just lean into your own faith. Trust me, hear my voice when you're going through it, even if that helps. This too shall pass. Just tell yourself that. It works for me most often, more times than none. All right. You don't have to have it all figured out. I surely don't have it all figured out. I'm still trying to maintain and juggle and run 3 businesses. All right. But I know I'm worthy of that. So therefore I'm going to keep going. And you should too, for sure. So I want you to do this. State one verse or affirmation that speaks life to you. All right. Mine was, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, as well as this too shall pass. Those are 2 for me. Maybe they'll work for you as well. All right. We're moving along to gift number 3. I appreciate you guys listening today, by the way, as always. Thank you so much. So gift number 3, breaking the silence. The power of being exposed and authentic. Here's the truth, you guys. You don't have to go through this alone. I'm always saying that because I really mean it. I did go through a lot of this stuff alone, by myself, but you don't have to go through this alone. One of the biggest lessons I learned was the power of speaking up and seeking support as well, because I was very territorial. I just felt like I would be able to do it the best and no one else could help me because no one really understood. But seeking support is amazing. It was such a help, you know. Of course, I always turn to God first because that was just my preference. But, you know, I used to think that if I shared my struggles, people would see me differently, you know, even coming to Michigan, because honestly, you guys, coming to Michigan was a culture shock for me. I am a Black, proud African-American woman, you guys, and it was a culture shock. Because honestly, and this might make you laugh, Michigan is predominantly Black that I can see, you know, Detroit and things like that. And for me, I was looking around like, oh my gosh, I have never seen so many Black people in my life at one time. Now I'm saying this and I'm Black, just saying. So it was a culture shock. I mean, heck, I was born in Utah, raised overseas in England. Like, who knew, right? But I divert. I just found out that getting help and just seeking assistance with those struggles by one, you know, I went and spoke to someone by all means. People could call me crazy if they want to. I needed that assistance, you know? So I felt like people would judge me if I went and did all those things, but I found out just the opposite as I, you know, got older and things like that and wiser. As I began to open up about all that I've already kind of told you about, and there's many other things that I'm not going to share today, but maybe another time. But all that I've kind of like been through, whether it was that learning disability in math that I had because that teacher told me that I'd never learn math, or the trauma with my first stepfather, that's the person that I thought I could trust. a stepfather, like out of all people, to be drugged and molested by. Really? Wow. So, or that toxic work environment at the good old boys club. Later in my career, though, I discovered that my vulnerability, and even now, allowed others to share their stories too and their journey, to help others and to no longer be selfish. So therefore, I'm putting it out here, right? But I realized that my story wasn't just about me. It was about giving hope to others who were silently suffering just like I was all alone. So therefore, I'm sharing it with you today. And I pray that you will share this with whomever, even yourself. Go back and rewatch it. That might have went through some things and still does. Because it's okay to be vulnerable. It's all right, So here's a giftful quote, you guys. Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. All right? That's what faith is too. It's about showing up for yourself. I had to show up for myself. All right? Despite the judgment of not being here from Michigan or whatever I was going through or what I was going to have to face through, even unfortunate family members, of coming out with my truth. I had to face it. But, it's about, like I said, showing up for yourself. And even when you're unsure, the littlest, smallest part of you that is like, I don't know, trusting that God, or again, whatever your higher power is, will just be there for you and help you with your story and their purpose for you, right? So I feel like that's why I'm even putting this out there today with this particular podcast, because I've gotten through so much, and even now being an entrepreneur and stuff like that for many years, it's just being vulnerable was very, very necessary for me. So just know that you don't have to carry your silent struggles alone. You really don't. I didn't know this then, right? But sharing your journey doesn't make you weak. Know that also. I thought I would be weak, but no. That's what kept me strong, is going through all those things and being able to share, So it makes you stronger in the end, so you can get through it. It shows you to have faith in the process and all that you're going through, and that you just trusting in God, and again, whatever your higher power is, to just take whatever you believe to be a mess of things, of your life, in work, whatever you feel like is a mess, all right, about yourself or anything around you or people around you. Instead, they will turn it into a message. Not a mess, but a message. Remember that. Don't be hard on yourself. Show yourself some grace. All right. So I want to give you a tip. Here's a tip for everyone today. Mine is simply by way of being a speaker now, but just know to start small, right? I know being a speaker, in my opinion, actually isn't starting small. But starting small for me was starting those 3 businesses many years ago and continuing to elevate them and to grow them, abundantly, because I am worthy of that. And so are you, right? So maybe you can't share your whole story yet, as I'm only sharing you parts of mine today, but that's okay. It's all right, but take one step towards just opening up. Do it for you. All right. And whether it's with a friend, if you decide to be with, share with a friend, a journal, do a journal and just write it down, or even in prayer with yourself. It could be behind closed doors, whatever works for you, right? Just begin to release what's just holding you down for the most part. I often have to do this, which is another reason why this podcast was worth it today. All right. So keep that in mind. Trust me, it works. I've gotten through it all this time. So we're going on to gift number 4. There's only 5 of them. So, gift number 4 is letting go of shame and seeking help along your entrepreneurial journey. Very important, you all. So one of the most powerful steps in overcoming silent struggles is releasing the shame associated with them and recognizing that asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. All right. So, it took me years. It took years, you guys, for me to share my truth. Again, I waited till my 30s. All right. I sought therapy though. I opened up to close family members and friends, I actually also just leaned into my faith community at the time during all of those struggles and things that I was going through. I still do it today, Only then, though, did I realize that there is no shame in having a battle to fight. But also know that the battle is not yours at all. God will see you through big time through this fight. These things that you're going through, or that I went through and that I continue to go through, they're not my battle. And I have to tell myself that quite often, right? Because I'm human, so are all of you. And we're meant to overcome challenges with the support of just, for me, both God and others. So keep that in mind. All right. It's very unfortunate that so many others, unfortunately, don't see things the same way. And very unfortunate that they tend to take their own lives and things like that because they feel like they got to handle these battles and these struggles on their own. And you don't. You do not. You're human going through this process. And you're going to continue to be human. God made you. God did not make any mistakes. All right. I'm always saying that. People are like, oh man, Jenée, you're special. I'm like, I am. But I'm a good special because God made me. And he didn't make no mistakes. Am I perfect? Far from perfect. Okay. But guess what? Many things I am very unapologetic about because, again, God made me. He didn't make no mistakes. I'll just get better. We're all human. And to those who try to make you feel less than, you pretty much just tell them, he who cast the first stone. That'll shut them up right away because everybody has some kind of weakness or they're just not something they're not good at, So he who cast the first stone, stand up, okay? And they're not going to. So they can't even judge you. So don't have those worries. Gift number 5. Gift number 5 is trusting the process of healing. So very important along your journey, all right? Healing doesn't happen overnight. Let me tell you. Again, I told you I kept this from 10 to 14 through my 30s before I even started saying things, right? But I just stayed true to myself and strong as I could, even at that age, right? But trusting the process is very essential because it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in months, probably, So trust the process. Every small step forward counts, though. And over time, the power of faith, you guys, man, it will lead you just to bigger things by having faith. All right. It will guide you through things that you're going through. All right. So even now, I am still healing because obviously you wouldn't have seen the tears if I wasn't. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I wear my heart on my sleeve, you guys. I'm just that type of person. My integrity is impeccable and I am proud of that. Right. So there are days I feel triggered by memories from my past. I'm going to be honest about that. But the difference is today, I don't let those triggers consume me. I just won't do it. That's why I'm always just simply trying to be positive for the most part. And just, I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to save myself half the time, but, instead I bring my faith and my trusting that God's grace is enough, to heal every part of me from my head to my toes, you guys, my inner just soul. I just keep the faith because it's so helpful for me, right? And maybe it'll work for you. Therefore, I am so grateful to even honestly be here. And I always say, you know what? But I'm here. So that's good, right? So all that said today on this podcast, you guys, thanks for enduring things as I've shed tears. But I want to leave you with this today. Know that the silent struggles don't define you. They surely did not define me because I'm doing big things and God is not done with me yet. So I am still going and still going to reach the places that I am worthy of. And I know you can do the same. I know it. So don't let them define you. All right. They are just chapters in our journeys. They're chapters in your journey and my journey. That's all they are. That's why I don't call things my story, because I feel like a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And therefore, if there's an end, then how are you continuing your journey? That's why I always say my journey versus my story. And I just know that God, or again, whoever that higher power is for you, will see you through, as I know God is seeing me through. I'm so grateful for that. So you may not be able to control, what's going on with you. I wasn't able to control those things that I told you about, but you can control how you respond and how you go about things for the most part, and how you treat people. You can control those things. That's just something in your nature as a person that you can do. So I encourage you to just respond with faith. That's it. Respond with faith and just keep the faith. Remember, it's as small as a mustard seed, right? So I want to share this with you also. It's just a little acronym for me that I've shared with many others, and they seem to kind of follow it, and it's helped. So maybe it'll help you also on today's podcast. But it's simply this. Excuse me. Walk by faith, which stands for FAITH, stands for take fearless action with integrity to trust yourself and to heal. That's simple. Take fearless action to trust yourself with integrity and heal. I really hope that helps someone, because it's surely helped me. And I've been told it's helped some others. So just know that you are never alone in your journey. All right? Keep that acronym in mind. I've personally been there, you all, and I'm still walking through and facing some of these battles today. But I can tell you this. Faith has never failed. It's never failed me, and it won't fail you either. That I know for sure. I don't know what you're going through. You now know some of what I've been through and what I continue to go through sometimes. But it will never fail. If you can relate to this, put relate in the chat. I want to challenge you. Obviously, I always have a challenge. But it's really simple. It's really simple. I challenge you to be brave. Take a moment and sit with that. I challenge you to be brave. Find a safe space and share just one of your silent struggles, if you're able to do so. I promise you there is freedom in vulnerability. Such freedom. And if you can't find someone to talk to, start it by just writing it down, and just simply give yourself permission to be seen. Just do that for yourself, all right? You will feel so much better. I'm telling you. Take it from me. But trust that God, or again, your higher power, is guiding you to better and within yourself, all right? So before I end my podcast, I want to once again promote my ebook, you guys. Thank you so much for those of you who have received it already. Again, it doesn't cost much. You guys, I didn't want to price it too high, to be honest, because I want others to be able to receive it. I wasn't always able to purchase high-end things, right? So I was like, no, I want the right people to get this ebook. I think it's $11.98, you guys. No brainer. You've had food that's tasted bad that you've spent that much money on. Just saying. So I want to promote it once again, you guys. The book is titled 6 Steps, and it's the number 6, not the spelled out way, okay? The number 6. 6 Steps to Overcome Fear and Walk by Faith as an Entrepreneur, all right? So obviously, you guys can get this. It's an essential guide to conquering fear and thriving in business with faith. That's what it's all about. I mean, again, I wrote it, so it's some good stuff. The link is in my bio on this Instagram, as well as you can purchase it on Amazon with Kindle books, because that's been there as well. So as we wrap up this episode, if this episode spoke to you at all, even a little bit, please encourage others to watch it, share it. Just take it when you get it, or, when you see it, and just share it with someone else who might be going through their own silent battles. And again, go back and watch it back. I really, really hope that this helps someone else or even yourself. As always, thank you so very much, you guys, for tuning in to this episode of the Faith Forward Fearlessly podcast with me, Jenée Hudson, the Uplifter. Don't forget to follow for ongoing and inspiring content. You never know what you'll get with me, right? So I hope you found some encouragement, some strength today on this podcast. And most importantly, the reminder that you are not alone and your silent struggles. Vulnerability is okay. It's all right. So keep the faith. If nothing else, if you didn't get nothing else from this podcast today, keep the faith. And until next time, have a blessed day and a prosperous year on purpose. Till later. Bye.